Pokemon Legends EA is having some serious issues on the Nintendo Switch 2. This is going to be the most expensive Nintendo Switch 2 game as of the time of launch to buy. To have the complete experience, it will be the most expensive game, not to mention all the other crap that they're doing, and we're going to break it all down today because honestly, this game's kind of annoying me a little bit. And the main reason for that is, if you didn't know, before I ran this channel, I ran a Pokemon channel, so I am a massive Pokemon fan. So normally I'm very excited for any new Pokemon releases or anything of that nature, but the way that they're handling this particular game is really bothering me. So we had the Nintendo Direct the other day that showed off tons of games, and they announced during that Nintendo Direct a couple things were coming to Pokemon Legends EA. The first being a DLC, and this was called Pokemon Legends EA The Mega Dimension, and this is launching day and date with the actual game itself. This DLC launches the same exact day as Legends EA. On top of that, they also announced some new Mega Pokemon that would be coming, which one of those being Mega Raichu in the form of Mega Raichu X and Mega Raichu Y that are tied to that DLC, but also Mega Chestnut, Mega Greninja, and Mega Delphox. All of those are also coming. They are separate from the DLC, but they have a lot of issues as well. So first, let's talk about the actual DLC that is coming to Pokemon Legends EA. So going into the DLC of this game, it does include Mega Raichu X and Y, like I discussed previously, and these are tied to the DLC. Some form of interaction with the DLC will give you the ability to get these particular Mega Evolutions. And that is not all that's included with this particular DLC. Going over to the eShop itself, you actually can see that the DLC is worth $30, launching day and date on the Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch 1 with the release of the game, making the Switch 1 version $90 and the Switch 2 version $100 if you were to buy this DLC on launch day. It also includes these Holo X and Holo Y apparel items for your character, but then also additional story content is included. So essentially what this is like a season pass or something for other games, where you pay up front for the season pass for the game and you get the content later as it becomes available. Apparently, based on the description, this is going to give you that ability to encounter Mega Evolutions for Raichu, Mega X and Mega Y for that particular Pokemon, and the Holoware will be available day one, but the rest of the content tied to this DLC, that being the story content that comes later, will not be tied to this particular DLC right away. It is later down the road. You will get this added if you spend this $30, but it's not available day and date with the game. Now, as far as the DLC is concerned, this is not something that really bothers me all that much. Many other games do this thing themselves, where you are able to pay upfront for that DLC. Games like Borderlands, Assassin's Creed, things of that nature that have those season pass and additional DLC, you can pay an upfront fee, usually in the form of some sort of digital deluxe edition, and get that game at a higher price to then have all the content given to you later down the road. So this particular aspect doesn't really bother me that much. I know a lot of people were upset seeing that this was releasing day and date, but this is literally done by like so many other companies in the industry that for me, this doesn't necessarily bother me. And the fact that, you know, Mega Raichu X and Y is tied to the DLC also doesn't bug me, because it's a normal thing for Pokemon games. If you look at previous entries like Sword and Shield, Calyrex is tied to a DLC and Urshifu is tied to a DLC. If you look at Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, we have Ogerpon and Terapagos that are tied to DLCs. So it's pretty common practice for Pokemon as a company to lock certain content behind DLC. So that's not all that shocking to me personally. That is not the thing that actually really bugs me about this entire thing. So as far as the $100 price point is concerned, that's only really related to the DLC aspect of this game. So if you want to hold off and wait to see if you're even interested in the DLC, there's nothing really stopping you unless you just want the holo items as well as the Mega for Raichu. But if you don't really care about that right away, you don't have to pick up this DLC. You're able to get the Raichu later if you decide to pick up the DLC down the road, especially after they start announcing what this DLC actually is. If you're someone that's interested in saying, you know, what kind of story content am I getting out of this? Is this actually going to be worth the $30 price tag that they're providing? You can wait to pick this up later down the road and get that for that cost later. But the thing that's really driving me crazy about this particular game is they announced new megas like we talked about at the start of this video. The new megas are announced for the Gen 6 starter Pokemon, and they are sick. I'm actually really excited for them. They all look really good, and I think it is freaking awesome. However, these are not available through normal gameplay. So I gotta say, we're on the official website for Pokemon Legends EA, and it shows off the new Pokemon. Chestnut, Delphox, and Greninja that first appeared in Pokemon X and Y games have been released as Mega Evolutions in Legends EA. Now, these are not obtained through normal gameplay. Like I said, if I scroll down here to the fine print, the Greninjite, the Delphoxite, and the Chestnutite stones cannot be normally obtained during regular gameplay. So these are locked. What are they locked behind? They are locked behind the Battle Club in ZA. So the Mega Stones required to Mega Evolve Chestnut, Delphox, and Greninja can be obtained from the ZA Battle Club rewards as players battling one another in online ranked battles. Ranked battles offer 3 types of rewards: battle rewards obtainable after each battle, promotional rewards obtained upon rising in rank, and seasonal rewards which vary by rank, obtainable at the end of each season. So keep battling and refining your skills to try to get a variety of rewards. Mega Stones for Mega Chestnut, Mega Delphox, and Mega Greninja can only be obtained as rewards for being promoted up the ranks. That is absolutely crazy to me. So in Season 1, that is when we can get the Greninja Mega Stone. In Season 2, we will be able to get the Delphox Mega Stone. And in Season 3, we will be able to get the Chestnut Mega Stone. I don't like that certain Pokemon are locked behind ranked play. If you are uninterested in the online rank component for this particular game, you're kind of just forced to play it in order to get the Pokemon that are in the game. I don't like that. Like I said earlier, I don't mind if they're locked behind DLC because it's tied to other content. That's fine. They've done that before. But never in the history of Pokemon have they locked a Pokemon behind competitive play. And that's coming from someone who has 1,000 hours in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet playing competitive VGC, and someone who has 500 hours in Pokemon Sword and Shield playing competitive Pokemon. There has never been a Pokemon locked behind competitive play outside of like shiny releases from tournaments. That is the only thing that has ever happened from. And even in those instances, you could sign up for the tournament, you could surrender 3 times, and then be given the reward. However, based on the description that they're talking about here for these particular Pokemon, you're going to actually have to rank up to earn these rewards. You not only have to play competitively, but you also have to get good enough to actually be given the Mega Stone. That's just absolutely crazy in my opinion. It is actually wild that they are locking content behind this in the form of Pokemon. If you give us special items and stuff, that's fine. That's not a big deal in my opinion, but locking Pokemon behind it is crazy. Going back to this again, we'll go down to the fine print here. So not only do you have to buy Pokemon Legends ZA, you also have to have a Nintendo Switch Online membership to even partake in the online ranked battle system to then rank up to get these rewards. And it does say that there is going to be a redistribution of these, but however, they only say it's going to be a redistribution in future seasons. So we don't know how many times these are going to get redistributed. It's kind of a very gray area as far as how often these are going to come back and be able to be acquired again. So if you pick up this game after, Season 4 has started, you're not even going to be able to get these Pokemon. At least not right away. You have to wait for the season to roll back around where they redistribute these. That is just not a very good decision in my opinion. I really dislike the fact that they are doing this. And what if they only redistribute these Pokemon one time? What if they only come back and redistribute every Pokemon that they lock behind this feature once? So if you miss those 2 windows, you just don't have access to these Pokemon? That's absolutely insane and has never been done before in the history of Pokemon. And the only other thing that's ever been similar to this is like time promotional Pokemon, like mythical Pokemon through like events at GameStop or Toys R Us back in the day. Those existed, but those didn't feel quite as bad because they were not something that was immediately in the game. Usually they were in the form of some sort of mystery gift or something that was dropped into the game later. These are Pokemon that literally already exist in the game and you just need their item to Mega Evolve. That is kind of weird and just something I am not a huge fan of in this particular game. I really don't know who approved this, whether this was Nintendo that approved this or whether this was, Pokemon Company that approved this. This is just not something that I enjoy at all. And as someone who's not 100% sold on Pokemon ZA, this really rubs me the wrong way and doesn't make me really want to give this an outstanding ovation or recommend this game to people, at least until I get my hands on it and actually play it. Normally, if it was a Pokemon game, I'd say just buy it because I like Pokemon. But in this instance, I really don't know that I would recommend it. just with the decisions that they're making with some of this stuff. So all in all, yes, there is a lot happening with Pokemon Legends EA. It is a very interesting game that I feel like we haven't seen a ton of information on. Yes, they've demoed it a couple times and people say to really enjoy what they've demoed, but the way that they're doing things is just a little odd compared to how Pokemon has done things in the past. And, you know, Pokemon's not had the greatest history of making fans or gamers in general happy with some of the decisions that they make. So doing something like this, again, the DLC thing doesn't really bother me because it's something that is done across the board with other games like Borderlands and things of that nature. So that doesn't really bug me that you can pay up front for DLC that's coming later. That's totally fine. You can just buy the DLC later. Doesn't really bother me. I know it bothers some, but the lock-in of Pokemon that are in the game already in their mega forms are locked behind playing in competitive play. It just doesn't sit right with me, especially if you're not someone that enjoys competitive play, if you're not someone that really likes doing online battles, or maybe you just don't have Nintendo Switch Online. I really dislike this. But let me know all of your thoughts in the comments below. That's really it. I just wanted to talk about the fact that this is a $100 game day one if you get all of the content that is currently available. That's crazy, and I wanted to know what people thought about the Mega Evolutions. I want to talk about all that, but that is it for this video, guys. A little bit of a discussion video because it's a game series that I'm very passionate about, rather than my normal style videos where we're reviewing and talking games. I just really wanted to talk about this particular game. So let me know, like I said in the comments below, what you think of all of this. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe because it helps me out, helps the video out, and helps the channel out immensely. But until next time, peace.